Hello, I'm Dr. Norman Marvin, and I'd like to invite you to be a part of a live presentation, a PowerPoint presentation on glyconutrition that I've recently done in the Kansas City area.
In the first 5 months I shared this, I saw more miracles than I had in 49 years of the practice of medicine. I've got around 38 to 39 now miracles, I consider miracles, from this product that I share with people. And there's so many now that I'm separating them from the technology, and that's what I'm going to cover tonight. After you've seen 20 people with terminal cancer cleared, you're pretty well impressed with this product. Because the reason I'm in it, head over heels, or up to my ears, is the fact that I have helped more people that I couldn't do a thing for. Just take one disease, fibromyalgia. Present-day medicine gives you pain pills, mostly codeine or codeine derivative, to kill the pain, and antidepressants. Well, when is medicine going to wake up? The reason a woman who has fibromyalgia is depressed is because she got fibromyalgia. You see, it's the other way around. She didn't get fibromyalgia by being depressed. Fibromyalgia made her depressed. And this is the answer. I love to take the phone and somebody say, I'd like to know more about nutrients, these glyconutrients, but I have fibromyalgia and I don't think you can help that. And I say, have I got something for you? Because I can honestly say tonight, I've never put anybody on this who's had fibromyalgia that wasn't cleared. Nobody. No failures. Why? Because these are 8 monosaccharides your body requires to heal itself. These products do not heal, mitigate, treat disease. They give the body the necessary ingredients for it to function correctly. It's the difference between watered gasoline in your car and gasoline. We've been living on watered gasoline, folks, in our society. Why? Because we're in green harvesting. You all know about green harvesting? I talked to a lady in the produce industry in San Joaquin Valley, and she wanted to get on the products. And I said, before we do that, tell me, I hear that they pick the tomatoes out there in the valley, green, ship them to Kansas City, they gas them in the back of the grocery store, they turn red, and we all see red tomatoes that taste like cardboard. She said, no, you're wrong. We pick them rock hard, gourd green. Because when we ship them, nothing damages them. Even a hammer won't dent one of these tomatoes. But before we ship them, we put them in a big plastic bag and fill it with ethylene gas, and in 4 hours they're bright red. They're still green, but they're bright red. And as Steve Lemmy says, when you go into a grocery store, you look over the tomatoes. Don't pick the ones that don't have spots, because if the bugs won't eat them, you shouldn't eat them. You see, the color doesn't matter to a bug. They go from odor. We go from color. We're eating cardboard tomatoes. Two bad things. One, they're gourd green, rock hard. Two, they have no nutrition in them. The nutrition comes in the last 72 hours. Three, they have the same amount of calories as if they were completely right. Okay, this is my CV, and all of you that know me probably know everything that's on here. I got a BS in pharmacy. At the same time, I did pre-med. Graduated from medical school in the University of Kansas in '56. I was chairman of family medicine at Oral Roberts University, 1988 to 99. Then they closed the hospital. Okay. You see, as a nation, we've come to believe that our high-tech medicine is what it's about. In other words, if you're ill, take a pill. That's not where it's at. I talked to a lady about 10 days ago. She said, you know, my doctor checked me over and examined me and wrote me a prescription. Then while I was looking at that, he wrote 3 more. And she said, what's that all about? He said, well, the first one's to treat your illness. The second 3 is to take care of the side effects from the first one. So she's taking 4 drugs, 3 of which is just to take care of side effects. And I'm going to show you there's problems involved. 90% of every bit of food we eat is processed. Obesity costs are now greater than smoking. Obesity, 63% of American people are overweight, 27% are obese. 240 million a year just in obesity costs. Why? Because they're eating green tomatoes, looking for what they have to have, and they're not there, but the calories are. 7 billion pounds of toxins are released into the environment every year. 7 billion pounds. I can go on to this later all night long. 1/3 of all Americans born in 2000 will get diabetes. That's the statistics. 1/3. And my question is, how's this medicine doing? How's it working for you? It's not working too good. Okay, healthcare costs at approximately $1,200 the price of every vehicle. 1 million patients are injured each year in the hospital. Now here's some statistics that you want to think about tonight if you don't think you might need some glyconutrients. Annual death toll from medical error, treatment, or exposure. Now, non-error medical effects of drugs. That's 106,000 people die every year with rightly prescribed medications for right diagnoses. Vioxx has 4,800 lawsuits against them for wrongful death. How's that working? 80,000 infections in the hospital, 20,000 from errors in the hospital, 12,000 unnecessary surgery, 7,000 medical errors in the hospital. Coupled with outpatient addition, 199,000 deaths, that gives us a grand, wonderful total of 424,000 deaths every year in our medical system. Well, I don't think you've heard about that in your news. But you know what that's equivalent of? 3 747s fully loaded crashing every day for 1 year in America. 3 747s crashing every year, every day of the year in America. Now, if it was 747s, they wouldn't be flying the second day, right? But everything's running along wonderful here. We just have a lot more funerals. Now, 196,000 people die and 2.2 million are injured each year by adverse reaction to drugs. And the reason being, to be a drug, you have to have the toxicity. These things are so safe, we give them to 1-day-old infants. I've got a 3-month-old on them and a 9-month-old on them. And they're doing wonderful. One of them is the Down syndrome. Now, get this, if you don't get anything else, the use of RX drugs is the 4th leading cause of death in the U.S. behind heart disease and cancer. 4th leading cause of death is prescription drugs. How's that working? I've had many people say, you know, I've studied this all over and I don't need these glyconutrients. I'm going to stick with the medicines. Well, wake up, America. There's the facts. And I can show you where it all comes from. The typical medical response for chronic illness and disease is feeling ill, take a pill. Now, I want to show you this. Retail drug sales are rising at well over 18% each year. Prices. The highest increase in drug consumption in the United States is the 2 to 5-year-olds. How's that working? The highest increase in drug consumption is in 2 to 5-year-olds, and the plan is to keep them taking it all the rest of their life. Start them early, keep them late. Now, these are just some statistics. You can see all that we've talked about here, but 1 out of 2 people will die of a heart attack in the United States. 50% of men, their first indication they have heart troubles, they drop dead. 50%, present statistic. Women is 64% of women, the first indication of heart disease, they drop dead. That doesn't leave you much time to depend on medication, getting one filled, right? 1 out of 2 people will die of cancer in the United States. 1 out of 2 people will get an autoimmune disease. When I graduated from medical school, there were 6 autoimmune diseases. There's now 87. How's it working? What's happening? 87 autoimmune diseases which are incurable? 3 out of 4 people will get a degenerative disease. They're the lucky ones. They live long enough to have a degenerative disease. It's not working, folks. And let me tell you a little sideline in case you doubt this. projected medical costs in the United States, the year 20,000 will be the entire GNP. That means we'll all be sick, naked, and starving. What a wonderful future. You see, I'm getting to the point is we have to take responsibility for our own health. I learned a long time ago in the practice of medicine, prevention is the best element of cure. The best thing about treatment is prevention. Okay? We're taking too many drugs for dubious or exaggerated ailments. Now, who is this? Some supplement company telling you? No. Dr. Marcia Angell, former editor of the New England Journal of Medicine, the NEJM, the most prestigious medical journal in the United States. And she wrote an article, The Truth About Drug Companies. And that isn't a pretty picture. What the drug companies are doing now is promoting drugs for long-term use to essentially healthy people. Why? Because it's the biggest market. Illness and disease. Okay? In 1940, only 2% of the population dealt with cancer. 2%. In 1971, President Nixon declared war on cancer. He spent $35 billion with a B dollars to defeat cancer and the cause of cancer. And did he win? No. During the war, cancer went from number 8 to 2, meaning the 8th cause of death to the 2nd cause of death. Cancer won the war, and we're not winning. We're having an absolute epidemic of cancer, particularly cancer of the breast in this country. Now, the reason being, treatment has remained the same since the 70s. You either cut it out, burn it out, or chemically destroy it. When I was a medical student, we used to have a little saying that we said among ourselves, if when in doubt, cut it out. You may have heard that. I've heard a lot of doctors say, well, we don't know what's wrong with you, but we want to operate on you and find out. Well, we're supposed to learn that in the freshman year of medical school with cadavers. We could dissect them to find out what was wrong, but we weren't talking about living people. But anyhow, that's where we are today. I told you before there's 87 autoimmune diseases. These are incurable by today's means. What's autoimmune? Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, psoriasis. There they are, rheumatoid arthritis. I have a 16-year-old with rheumatoid arthritis. It involves her eyes. They were so painful they had to use a drip, cortisone drip, on her eyes to stop the pain. Cancer just overtook heart disease as number 1. The American Cancer Society said next summer, cancer will be number 1. Did you know our bodies are getting weaker? The United States Center for Disease Control, CDC, is planning for a big epidemic. It's the bird flu. I can tell you, one person here tonight's not worried one iota about the bird flu. The bird flu. Why? Because I'm loaded with these monosaccharides, and the bugs can't get within a mile of me. And that's the only way to go is prevention. We've got everybody all panicking. I had a guy today call me and ask me if I would meet with the people in the governor's office in Missouri and meet with the mayor of a town nearby. Won't mention the town. The mayor wanted to talk to me about the bird flu. That won't take long because I'll tell him how to not worry. Families are now asking, why are our families getting sick in the first place? How can we protect our family from disease? How can the cause of the problem addressed and not just the symptoms? See, when I was in the regular medical practice, I treated symptoms only. Somebody come in to see me, I'd say, well, ma'am, what can I do for you? I got a pain in my head. Okay, when did it start? Where does it hurt in your head, et cetera, et cetera. What we deal with here is to go from the inside out rather than the outside in. What if there was a discovery that could dramatically impact the health and well-being of you and your loved ones? The body heals itself. Isn't that a wild assumption? It does, believe me. The human body can defend, protect, and restore itself. What does it need? Key nutrients. Is it currently getting them? No, because you can't find them. There's 8 monosaccharides. The first one is glucose. You get 150 pounds on the average every year of glucose, way too much, average American. Number 2 is galactose, we get way too much of that. And the rest of them, we don't get any. This is a new technology. There was a discovery. What if there was a discovery that can dramatically impact the health and well-being of you and your loved ones? This discovery was a disruptive technology that is predicted to help trigger $1 trillion shift from sickness industry into a wellness industry within the next 10 years. And it's coming. If you don't believe it, ask my wife. She's been putting people on this week to the point she hardly has any sleep. Because it works, and it's non-toxic, and it's better than medication, believe me. Okay, the wellness revolution has begun. What do we mean by disruptive technology? Well, let me tell you, when Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, he took it to Western Union and offered to sell it to them. They laughed at him and said, who on earth would ever want to buy this thing that you could talk to people when you can send them an instant letter? How many telegrams has anybody in here sent in the last 5 years? It disrupted the whole industry. That's one. Here's another one. How many here would like to apply for a job selling typewriters? 4 years after Bill Gates licensed Microsoft and DOS, there's never a typewriter made in North or South America. What about Polaroid cameras? How would you like to do that? Not against digital cameras. You see, these are disruptive technologies, and I'm talking tonight about a disruptive technology because the health tsunami, I call it, is on its way. The discovery was in 1980. Bill McAnally, a research pharmacologist down in Carrington Labs in Dallas, discovered an active ingredient in aloe vera, a long-chain carbohydrate composed of predominantly a special sugar called mannose. You don't have any of that sitting on your kitchen table. The stabilization of this monosaccharide molecule resulted in the issuance of 150 international patents. It was something that no one knew anything about at that time. Research began in the 70s with the aloe vera plant. Group investigators hired Dr. McAnally of Carrington Labs to find the healing agent in aloe vera. In 1981, mannose was identified and the patents were filed in the stabilization of that molecule. It was a very unstable molecule, and that's why it had to have certain things to keep it stable. They took this mannose and tried to get an FDA approval on it, and they ran into a real problem. It wasn't toxic. So they applied for an FDA license. And to be a drug, an FDA license, it requires that you give enough of it so 50% of the mice you feed it to die. They couldn't feed enough of this to get any of them to die. They get healthier. As I've said, they were so healthy they had to club them to death. And so they were rejected. But the DSHEA Act of 1994 was passed. It's the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994. This act opened the door to a massive wellness movement because this is called a nutraceutical versus pharmaceuticals. This isn't a pharmaceutical, this is a nutraceutical. And here's the act, and here's what it says. Consumers should be empowered to make choices about preventive health care programs based on the data from scientific studies of health benefits related to particular dietary supplements. Okay? Here's the picture graphically. When I practiced medicine as a family physician here in Overland Park and other places, what we did was person sick, we could start with the symptoms, then the systems, then the organs, then the tissues, then the cells. However, I threw my prescription pad as far as I could get it when I found this stuff. I'm not kidding you. I'm never going back to that day. and I don't miss it at all. Here we deal with the cause. We start with the cells, go to the tissues, then the organs, the systems, and the symptoms. Healthy cells equals healthy bodies. We go from the inside out rather than the outside in. Okay? When I was at KU, they had 3 electron microscopes in 1975. One of them was given, 2 of them they purchased. And this is what our cells look like. And you see, it looks like the little things that grow in sugar gum trees. You know, if you have them, I got one in my yard, and these are all over the yard. Okay? But this is a picture of your cells. These little spicules are all glycoproteins, which we're talking about tonight, and they communicate with one another through this. Okay? Now, here's a blow-up diagram, illustration of glycoprotein. These yellow are proteins, the pink are the glyco, meaning sugar. Greek word for sugar is glyco. So this is a glycoprotein right there. It's all over the cells. For example, the sperm can't enter the egg in fertilizing the egg without communication between the glycoproteins on the sperm, the glycoproteins on the egg. And believe me, this is the best, easiest, quickest, cheapest treatment for infertility ever found. We've just discovered that. And it works like you can't believe. Okay? These monosaccharides that are attached to the protein at the cell surface have been identified as 8 essential sugars. I don't like to use the term sugar because we give this to diabetics. They're non-glycemic sugars, meaning it won't raise your blood sugar. They're not sweet. They don't taste sweet. But they are technically monosaccharides. What we think of sugar is the disaccharide that sits on your table. Okay? Varying patterns which make up the cell's identity. If one of these is missing, the cellular communication is disrupted. Every control system in your body is controlled by glycoproteins. And that's why this is so important. Here they are. Here's all 8 of them. We get too much, 150 pounds a year per average American. Lactose, we get way too much of that. But 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, we get none in our diet. 0. That's mannose, fucose. I've had people constantly telling me I made a mistake on spelling this, and it should be fucose, should be fructose. It's not. This is fucose. When they first got into this and doing research, fucose sold for $16,000 a pound. Well, I can share with you tonight, this is a lot cheaper than that. Xylose, N-acetylglycosamine. I think that you may have heard of this one, N-acetylglucosamine. You've heard your doctor say, get off the shelf some glucosamine. It'll help your joints. That's just a fraction. This is the active ingredient right here. I've had I don't know how many people, and there's a man here tonight that didn't have a hip replacement because of this product, because he replaced his cartilage in his hip. And he's not alone. I've got many of them. Okay? Glycosamine and N-acetylneurominic acid. There's the 8 essential. The 8 monosaccharides that make up the glyconutrient complex balances and strengthens the immune system. Cancer is an immune deficiency disease. Now let me ask you, does this make sense? Just in common horse sense. If we know that cancer is an immune deficiency disease, and we have a patient that is diagnosed with cancer, the first thing we give her is chemo that wipes out every vestige of immunity in her body, or his body. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. You don't wipe out all the immunity you've got. And this starts in by building your immunity up. With proper cell-to-cell communication, the immune system can be vigilant in its surveillance and elimination of disease by eliminating viruses and bacteria which cause infections and carcinogens which cause cancer. If you can eliminate all 3 of those, wouldn't you like to have it in your body? I tell you, there's 2 things that I love about this and studying the science behind it, because it eradicates bacteria and viruses at the same speed. Antibiotics only work on bacteria. Number two thing I like about it, it's impossible for those to create a resistance to these compounds because they shut them off and starve them. That's the way it works. With proper cell-to-cell communication, the immune system can be vigilant in surveillance because your immune system is constantly on vigilance about your body because all of us, from the time we're born, have cancer cells circulating in our body. The reason we don't all have cancer, our immunity, and it's both the innate and the adaptive system, eliminates it. I want to have more vigilance in my body against everything. Without these essential monosaccharides, you will die. A lot of people don't believe that. I had a fellow call and said, well, you know, I read all this material about these monosaccharides, and I don't need them. Well, stick around. You will need them, because everything that controls your body is through these monosaccharides. You see, we either get these monosaccharides from our diets, or our bodies must be able to manufacture these from absorbed precursors. Well, that's difficult. Now, here's the glyconutrients. Here's the diagrammatic. These are the proteins. The red is the glyco. This is a malignant cell. That's destroyed by the connection. This is bacteria. That's destroyed because it communicates. Okay? And there's an adhesion that develops between the glycoproteins and the offender. Virus, toxins, hormones are all involved. All of your entire hormone systems are controlled by what we call trophic hormones. For example, your thyroid. Your pituitary puts out TSH. It goes down and acts on your thyroid. Your thyroid makes T3 and T4. That feeds back to the pituitary and shuts down the TSH. Isn't that neat? TSH is very, very important. TSH is a glycoprotein. ACTH is a glycoprotein. LH, LSH are all glycoproteins. And by the way, your immunoglobulins that you depend on to keep you from having colds all the time and flu all the time, they're also glycoproteins. People say, well, I don't need them in my body. That's about the height of ignorance. Your body runs on them and is controlled by them. Now, all we do with this product is furnish you the building blocks to make your own glycoproteins. Simple as that. You can't make them without some precursor going in, and you do not get them in the diet. Your great-granddad did, but you don't. That's why cancer was 8 when I graduated from medical school. It's now 2. Just stick around. You'll need them one of these days. But I'd rather do prevention, wouldn't you? That's what I want to teach everybody that comes to these. Shapes of communication. The English language is made up of 4 basic shapes. That's all. Everything in your language is made out of those, and there's how they apply. You see how that works? The cells have 8 instead of 4. These 8 monosaccharides. Okay? I'll show you how it works. Here's a message in a person that says they don't need glycoproteins. They're not for me. I don't need them in my diet. Well, that's the message the cell has. Can you understand it? Now, what's missing is this one bar, and I'll show you the message. If anyone here can read it, tell me. You saw it last week. Okay? That's all there was. And that's a diagrammatic thing that's shown to show you how these work in body with cell-to-cell communication. Only 2 of these essential monosaccharides are in our diet, glucose and galactose. The other 6 must be manufactured, which can take from 9 to 36 enzymatic reactions. This requires a lot of energy. The first thing people tell me when they go onto this, I have more energy than I've had in years. And I can tell you that myself. What's wrong with our diets that we can't get these? We need vine-ripened fruits and vegetables. No, not fruits and vegetables picked green on the vine. This is not organically grown. You see, anything that comes from organic material is organic. And if you think eating organic food saves you. I've got a shoe that's organic because that comes from animal life. Eat it. You see, there's more to it than being organic or not organic, and that's just the way it works. This is how many of you eat vine-ripened fruits and vegetables? And the AMA came out a few years ago and said that you need 5 to 9 servings of fresh fruits and vine-ripened vegetables. Okay, when I was in medical school, they didn't even talk about supplements. 5 years ago, the AMA said on their food tree, you've got to have supplements. Okay? Well, now they say you've got to have twice that. So, how many of you get 10 to 14 servings of fruits and vegetables every day? How many of you could prepare them and have time to eat them? That's what Science Magazine just published that you need. And then think about something else. How much are you going to pay for them? 10 to 14 servings every day of fresh fruits and vegetables, vine ripened? This stuff is cheap compared to that. What sugar is the most important? You probably know the answer to that, the one that's missing. The immune system. The whole basis of what I'm telling you about is your immune system. If your immune system's down, you may not have a cancer now, but you're going to. The percentages I just showed you, at least 50%, if you don't have your immunity up. I have had people, and I get about 35 to 40 calls a day. People say, Dr. Marvin, my immunity, they tell me, is shot. Well, they're right. All of our immunity is shot unless you're doing something to support it. It doesn't get there by sitting around eating green tomatoes, believe me, colored red, because the toxins, our immune systems are weakening at the rate of 3 to 5% a year. All of us. Disease states are on the rise. 24-hour to 40-hour bugs are now lasting 1 to 2 weeks. How come? Our immune systems. We're seeing increase in autoimmune diseases and cancer. If you knew the statistics, you wouldn't believe it. I bet I've had 100 people call me in the last 6 months with cancer of the breast alone. Our immune system, 2 different portions, the innate system and the adaptive system. Why do we have an adaptive system? It adapts to whatever is coming into your body, whether it's cancer, whether it's bacteria, or whether it's virus. You have to be adaptive to be a good surveillance. Here's the innate system. Locates and identifies normal cells, abnormal cells, and pathogens in the body through a process called phagocytosis. That's where Pac-Man come from. That's where they invented Pac-Man. Phagocytosis. It identifies and latches onto the pathogen or number of cells. Let me tell you, your mononuclear cells are your big eaters of Pac-Man. Now, for your information, your mononuclear cells do not function without mannose on all of the receptors. They don't function without mannose. Do you have any? No. Your body has to make it. 9 to 36 enzymatic reactions, and because we don't get the things we need, we don't have sufficient amount. How's that working for you? How's present-day medicine working for you? I've got so many doctor friends of mine that have left medicine. One's selling Hondas. Another one's busting tables down here at a restaurant. Why? Because they said they're caught between managed care and the lawyers. Managed care tells them how to practice, and the lawyers tell them they goofed up by doing it. That's between a rock and a hard place, right? A lot of people getting out of it. Okay, here's your adaptive. T cells respond to the chemical messages and communicate through glycoproteins on cell surfaces and send messages to B cells. B cells are the ones that make the immunoglobulins, producing antibodies to destroy the pathogen or send messages to the immune command center to repair the defective cell. All this process is mediated through glycoproteins. All of it. Whether you like it, lump it, or ignore it, that's what's required. For the body's immune system to work properly, these glycoproteins must be in proper sequence. And on the cell surface or the immune system, army cannot detect these properly. If one of these 8 essential monosaccharides is missing, then cellular miscommunication occurs and the development of illness and disease is set into motion. It's just the way it is. And that's why we're getting sick. And that's why, let me tell you, when you see a doctor that's operated on somebody and removes a tumor that's totally encapsulated and totally isolated, and he's so happy, and I scrubbed on a lot of surgeries and was happy with them, and we come out and talk to the parents, we say, we think we got it all. And we did think we got it all. But guess what? When you take out of the body what causes the cancer, when you take the cancer out of the body, it's encapsulated, what causes it's still there. That's a low immunity. And there's a man sitting here tonight, 18 years after he had one removed, totally encapsulated, he developed another one. And then we come back and say, we thought we had it all. Because we didn't get to the seat of the problem. We didn't get to the seat of what caused the cancer to start with. I'm passionate about this, folks, and you have to excuse me because I'm in this. And I'm passionate because I want to help people. I got into medicine to help people. I was raised on a farm. My folks had to borrow money to send me to medical school because I had a passion to help people. Believe me, I want to tell you the truth, and I'm not giving you hype. I'm telling you from my heart. I believe all my life, my education, my experience of delivering 2,000 babies and practicing for 49 years has all culminated in such a time as this. This is the pinnacle of my whole medical practice because I got something better. And so did you. You have something better too if you're sharing this. Now, people that say, I don't need these, let me show you something. Here's the human blood groups. O type is this configuration. First, I want to show you this part here is all the same in each blood type. You see what I mean? A, O, B. AB is a combination of these two. You see that? Okay, now we know that if we give a patient with O blood, B blood will kill them. What determines that difference? It isn't the big pink things here. No, it's these monosaccharides right here. That's the only difference in the blood type. These are the monosaccharides that are in this product. You see what I mean? Glucose, galactose, glucosaminic acid, galactose, and fucose. We've also found out that galactose is an anti-inflammatory. And the people that have the most galactose, look at this one, galactose, 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 they rarely have rheumatoid arthritis. Because built into their blood system is enough of this anti-inflammatory, they don't have it. You see what I mean? Why is it? Because of these monosaccharides. They just sink that into your system and then tell me whether you need these or not. It depends on our life. Our life is directed by these. You see, the only difference in the blood groups are these monosaccharides that we're talking about tonight. If I had only one slide to show you, this would be it. You have to have these in your system. There's no question. And I don't know whether you like it or lump it, but until you invent a body and make it the way you want it, this is what we're operating with. That's the joy of being a doctor. You only have the same model all your life. I used to have a friend who was a mechanic. He had to change his tools every year. I didn't have to. I had the same model. It's just the fact that we were too mystified with what was going on and we didn't see the big picture. Okay? Miscommunication can result in infection, cancers, autoimmune diseases, chronic degenerative disease, which is what we're seeing in today's society. Get this statistic. In 1998, World Health Organization declared the U.S. was 12th healthiest nation in the world. We got the greatest medical system there is, right? Wrong. From 1998 to 2000, that's 2 years, we went from 12th to 37th. How's that working? How's our system working? Are you dependent on that system? Look at this. Don't depend on it too much. See? 2 years, 12th to 37th. And let me tell you, for 37th in the world in health, we pay $1.5 trillion. None of the ones above that, 36 on up, pay a fraction of that. It's because of our system is running wild at expense. Underactive immune system. We've talked about this. The NK cells, the macrophages, patrol the body, seeking out and eliminating cells that undergo malignant transformation. But what innervates them to kill cells that are abnormal are these monosaccharides. Pathogens and tumors develop when the surveillance system, cell-to-cell communication linkage breaks down, or the system is overwhelmed so that the cancer cell is not recognized. That's a big part of this. Non-recognition of cancer cells in your body. It takes the cancer from 5 to 25 years so that you can detect it. By the time you detect the cancer, 95% of its life is already over. Aging, I think you'll agree, should be free from restrictions of chronic disease, degenerative disease like cancer, diabetes, and arthritis. Our senior years ought to be a time of contribution, not a painful crawl to the grave.
Amen.
I believe the way we're meant to die is God takes the breath away. Healthy. Right? You all believe you should die healthy? Well, that isn't the popular concept. Here's a recent quote from Rob Ortman, immunologist and research scientist, and here's what he says. I believe glyconutrients are going to become a staple nutritional supplement for all the 6 billion people on the face of the earth within the next 3 to 5 years. And let me tell you, if I don't get other people sharing this, it's going to work me to death. So I'm desperate. Help. I know you will. According to Michael Schachter, listen to this. He's an internist in Las Vegas. The biggest revolutionary change in war against disease is represented by glyconutritionals. I had the chief of medicine at Miami University School of Medicine call me, and he was upset because I had a patient of his on these products, and they were getting well, and he knew it wasn't his stuff. So he was upset. He called me, and he said, if this stuff was any good, I'd know about it. And I said, can you tell me what's won 4 of the last 8 Nobel Prizes in medicine? No, I can't. I said, see, you don't know everything. And then he said, well, if this was any good, I'd see it on CNN. And I said, if you depend on CNN to keep updated in medicine, you are in big trouble. When the body has the ability to produce these glycoproteins, the cells of the immune system and the remainder of the body cells can communicate properly, then the body has the ability, get this, to repair anything that is wrong with it. Anything that's wrong with it. It's a big load, right? It's true. In other words, communication equals repair. I love this. This is by Paracelsus. When I was a pharmacy student at KU, we talked a lot about Paracelsus. He's the father of pharmacology. I went through pharmacy school at KU and pre-med simultaneously. It says, all that man needs for good health and healing is provided by God in nature. The challenge of science is to find it. When did he say that? 1493 to 1541. How come we haven't heard that before? There's a lot of folks that make a lot of money by you not knowing that. We can talk about that sometime. There's 5 body systems that you have to rely on. Okay? Communication, these 8 monosaccharides. Defense and repair, antioxidants, phytonutrients, and glutathione. Glutathione is the most potent antioxidant ever found, but you can't take it in your body. You have to take the precursors in your body make it. But that's the key to health, glutathione. The body makes it, but you have to have the precursors to allow the body to do it. Regulation, 87 hormones, 17 sex and reproductive hormones. Nutrition, feeds cells, vitamins, minerals, and trace elements. And digestion, we have a product that helps digestion, supports digestion, and colon health. You are what you eat, digest, assimilate, appropriate, and eliminate. If you have a problem with any of these 5, you'll experience nutritional deficiency. You may not know it, but you'll get sick, and then you'll know. You see, the whole key to everything I'm saying is prevention. Prevention is the key. When the body has the ability to produce these glycoproteins and cells of the immune system, the remainder of the body cells can communicate properly, then the body has the ability to repair anything. See that? Anything that is wrong with it. And that's why I am so charged up, because every day people call me telling me absolutely miraculous stories. Absolutely miraculous. I wish you could hear some of them. It keeps me all geared up, and I always will. Did you know our bloodstream contains hundreds of toxic chemicals and pathogens from the air we breathe, the liquid we drink, and the food we eat? Most of these toxins never existed on the planet until after World War II. I just want to say a word about it. Did you realize that we now have little girls 8 years old menstruating? Why is that? There's a thing called xenoestrogens that we have in our tap water. And if you don't have high-tech filters, your little girls are getting xenoestrogens. What do they do to them? Heating plastic produces xenoestrogens. Do you know the #1 plastic surgery treatment in the United States today in the ages of men from 18 to 34? Do you know what it is? #1 plastic surgical treatment. Breast reduction. Breast reduction. When I was a family physician here in Overland Park, and I had a 20-year-old come in and say, "Doc, I want a breast reduction," I'd have sent him to a psychiatrist. But now it's real. It's the #1 plastic surgery in men. We're also having children 8 years old getting adult onset diabetes. Did you know that? 8 years old getting adult onset diabetes. Why? We don't get the products the body needs. And see, the toxins never existed before World War II. I'm not talking about these fancy things that we had that protects you from, you spray it on your divan and it won't get wet or messed up or any stains stick on it. None of that. It's all part of the same thing. Here's antioxidants. I had a lady tell me today, "I want to know where every one of these products come from." I said, "I can't tell you where every one of them come from. They're somewhere in the world, and they all come from plants. Because 85% of our soil is depleted, they don't come much from here. You know, I have a daughter and her husband that farm 8,000 acres in western Kansas of wheat. They can't even get the wheat to sprout without putting $100,000 worth of anhydrous ammonia in the soil. Well, we need more than that for our bodies, believe me. But here's citrus, the wine, grapes, and olive oil, green tea. Down here is the Australian bush plum. There's healthy folks here, believe me. And 4, green tea. This is where you get the best antioxidants. Map of world of 100-year-old lifespans. People in these areas live over 100 years old. When I was at KU, I was getting ready to write a paper on the people that lived over 120, some up to 130. They all come from where there's high antioxidants in the normal food they daily take in. Our bloodstream. Disease is a process that can take years to develop before you even experience symptoms. Your body is under attack 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by bacteria, virus, and toxins. Let me ask you something. I know no one here is going to tell me, unless they've read a book that I doubt you've all read, where the most polluted area is in the United States. It's not L.A., it's not New York, it's not Miami, it's not New Orleans. No, it is Anchorage, Alaska. Most polluted air there is. And the reason being is a temperature inversion that keeps all the exhaust and all the toxins close to the ground where they can all enjoy them and breathe them in. It's the most toxic there is. Your body has 10,000 hits on every cell in your body by free radicals on a daily basis. That's your DNA that's getting hit. How healthy is your immune system? Do you have enough antioxidants? It does not matter what the pathogen is. A healthy immune system with sufficient fat, water-soluble antioxidants will take care of it. This is where the problem is. Do you catch the flu easily? Do you run down? Are you under great stress? I consistently have people asking me, will it help my energy? Absolutely. We have a low energy society. Do you worry a lot? Do you have a state of depression? So like I said about the fibromyalgia, doctors are treating the depression which the fibromyalgia causes. It's not the other way around. Examples of antioxidant ingredients: mixed tocopherols, vitamin E, green tea, flavonoids, grape skin extract, Australian bush plum. Don't think lightly of this. It's a proprietary ingredient, the highest natural occurring vitamin C grown in the wild. Now, what does antioxidants do? Well, the free radicals that damage your cells, which cause cancer mostly. Oxygen. You see, here's the problem of the skull and crossbones, and the FR is the free radicals, and that's the problem right there. Stress, toxins, and drugs. Antioxidants prevent damage, and they're the little green smileys. And that's just a diagrammatic picture, but they neutralize all those caused by toxins and free radicals. Okay? Is this fact or fiction? Well, the PDR. Anybody in here in the medical field knows the PDR is on 300,000 doctors' desks. I can't use it much because it's that thick and you get a hernia carrying that thing around. So I've given most of them away. But I'm not doing them a favor probably. If they carry it very far, they're going to have a problem. But this product is mentioned in the PDR. The PDR, it's a non-prescription PDR, and here's the pages it's on. Glycoproteins isn't something somebody dreamed up last week. Not at all. It's a big part of our society and what we treat people with. Harper's Biochemistry, used in 81 of the 122 medical schools in the United States. Chapter 56, the 25th edition, is all about glyconutrients. I have a copy of it, not of the book, of that chapter. It's all on glycoproteins. No, it isn't hid. It's well evident. New England Journal of Medicine, NEJM, has had an article dealing with cellular communication. This month's Scientific American has had a tremendous chapter on cell-to-cell communication. This month, February 06. It's in the bookstores right now. When I saw Jeff Allen, he told me that, and I went to a bookstore as fast as I could to get a copy of it. Science, the weekly publication, American Association of Advancement of Science, devoted an entire issue. And a good friend of mine was kind enough to give me a copy of that. I've got that article, that whole magazine. It's a March 23rd, 2001 edition. It's talking about what we're talking about tonight. So this isn't something just fell out of a turnip wagon, believe me. This was one issue of Scientific American, July 2002. The whole thing is sweet medicine, glyconutrients. Okay? Unless you think I dreamed this up by having too much liver and onion, this is well known. College of Medicine, OU, opened the Oklahoma Center for Medical Glycobiology, the third such center to be opened in the United States. The others are University of California, San Diego, University of Georgia. That's a department of glycobiology which teaches this in the medical school. About 1 month ago, the University of Indiana was given an NIH, that's the National Institute of Health grant, of $3 million a year for 3 years, for them to study, in a scientific study, the effects of glycoproteins in alcoholism, shutting off the craving. I had a physician from Oklahoma call me the other day, and he said, I just wanted to tell you, I was an alcoholic, hooked on drugs, and I got free of both by taking these products. It blocks the craving. And if it was just that alone, it's worth knowing about this. And also, the University of Indiana had a 3-year grant from the NIH, the government, for the study of these in cancer. Okay? Technology Review, MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, says this is one of the 10 emerging technologies that will change the world. Change the world. You know, as Leo Coca says, either get in tune or get out of the way. It's coming. Folks, I want you to quote me. There's a health tsunami coming, and it's glorious. There's a health tsunami coming when the whole country goes for this stuff. They're going to have to. Oops, did I miss one? Yeah. MD Magazine, spring of 2002, devoted an entire issue to glyconutrition and nutraceuticals. I used to take that all the time when I was in practice. MD Magazine, MD News. Good magazine just for doctors. Now here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line. 4 of the last 8 Nobel Prizes for medicine have dealt with cellular communication processes, and it's important in our wellness. Of the last 8 Nobel Prizes, 4 of them were won by this technology. Now, how does that mean? Is that a big thing? Yeah, that's a big thing. There's nothing in your hospital, your doctor's office, or your pharmacy that's ever won more than 1. This has won 4. I had a person from this town say, "Doc, is that Nobel Prize a local award?" I didn't know where to start with that guy. "Is that a local award?" "Yeah, downtown." Downtown. Oh, brother. Anyhow, it was won by a German scientist named Gunther Blobel, and if you have any questions about it, go to your computer on Google and put in Gunther Blobel - Nobel Prize, and you'll read all about it, see his picture getting it. He won the first one. We have a U.S. patent issued August 16, 2005. You see, there was a big meeting of the Patent and Trademark Office, invited the company present its technology in a 3-day technology fair. All the other companies were pharmaceuticals. This isn't just vitamins and minerals. This isn't just a supplement. This is a nutraceutical. What's the difference between a pharmaceutical and a nutraceutical? No toxicity here. Wouldn't you like to go the no toxicity route? I would. We give it to 1-day-old infants. Prediction to the future. This is going to be the future, declares biochemist Gerald Hart of Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. We won't understand immunology, neurology, developmental biology, or disease until we get a handle on glycobiology. The new scientist. This is a generic company saying that. The cost of being sick. Here's the bottom line. When I say, how's that working for us? There's the future of this from this book. It's not connected with this company. Here's what they predict. Top 3 killers will continue to grow. Heart disease, cancer, and strokes. But here's the bad news. Employees are going to start soon bearing the cost of their health care. Health care will be scored. They're using this all over Europe and in Canada, and the paperwork's already done here. It's just a matter of putting it into effect. And what you do, you'll be interviewed for a job and assessed on your health value score. And depending on what you are evaluated by is how much the insurance will cover. And it may not cover any of you. Or you won't get employed. So what does that bring about? We have to be responsible for our health. Uncle Sam can't constantly babysit our health. He's running out of money. We had a friend of ours who was in the hospital, went in one evening at 6 o'clock, was released the next morning at 11 o'clock. All she was for was observation, no big tests, no big medicine, no IVs. Bill, $10,000. 6 o'clock one evening to 11 the next morning. How's that working? Okay, does this make sense? You have 2 choices. Save for sickness. Now this is Fidelity Investments, it's not this company. Right now, save for sickness. If you retired today, $1,500 a month you need to save. You need $500,000 to $1 million over the next 20 years if you're retiring. And here's what you do in wellness. Averages about $150 a month. Does that make sense? How does it go with this? It's better, more dependable, and you control it. Does applying $100 a month plus toward a wellness plan to avoid $500,000 to $1 million of potential medical liability make good sense? To me, it makes good sense. Now, here I want you to concentrate on this. This is from the General Accounting Office in Washington. It's not a proprietary advertisement for this company. Here's the escalation of medical costs. 2000, we paid $1.4 trillion. 2012, it's going to be $3.1 trillion. This year, it was $1.56 trillion for 05. Now get this slowly and read it. The unfunded liabilities of medical care today, Medicare. Oh, Medicare is going to take care of me. The unfunded liabilities of Medicare now amount to $35.5 trillion. That's 5 times the $7.2 trillion unfunded liability of Social Security and 10 times the national debt. Medicare is in the red 10 times the national debt. How's that working? How's that working for us? It isn't working. It's stunning. There's where we're faced. Medicare is so broke, you can't even describe it. If you're depending on Medicare to take care of you, it's like jumping out of an airplane with a garage sale parachute. Okay, you got some choices here. Medical treatment path, do nothing and wait for poor health to arrive. Well, I feel good now. You know, cancer doesn't have any symptoms when it's got you by the throat. Suppress symptoms through drug intervention. Just suppress symptoms. I was a symptom treater. I'll admit it. Suppress symptoms through drug intervention. Utilize drug, surgery, and radiation as exclusive treatment strategy. Risky, toxic approach that does not address the root cause of poor health. Wellness path. The key is wellness. And here's the thing. The cheapest thing you can purchase for your health care is a wellness program to keep you well. Adopt a wellness lifestyle. Quit eating all the garbage we're eating and all the green tomatoes that look red. Support physiology by supporting deficient nutrients. Complement medical treatment with nutrients that support the body's normal function. Safe, non-toxic approach to supporting wellness by working with the body. Now there's a chart here I want you to see. It sums it all up. Responsibility. We've got to become responsible. See the middle? We know that healthcare coverage by the HVCs I just told you about is going down. The rest is going to be covered. Treatment costs obviously are going up. We used to get $150 for an appendectomy. Ask your doctor how much he charges now. It's about $25,000. My coronary artery bypass 10 years ago cost $52,000. That was wonderful because I had Medicare. But what if I hadn't had Medicare? Because you just saw the facts. Medicare isn't going to be there, folks, if you're dependent on it. Lifestyle routines go down. Disease processes go up. There's it in a nutshell. You've got to be responsible to take care of yourself, eat right, live right. Here's my favorite quotation. Not from a physician, but a pretty smart man. He said, if the doctor of today does not become the nutritionist of tomorrow, then the nutritionist of today will become the doctor of tomorrow. Folks, that's the bottom line. If the doctor of today does not become the nutritionist of tomorrow, then the nutritionist of today will become the doctor of tomorrow. And that's where we're headed. Believe me. What does my doctor know? Well, the doctor is inside a box. You know all the education that a physician gets after he graduates for his continuing medical education is paid for by the drug company? Yep. I don't know how many here know that, but I can guarantee it's true. I used to go to medical meetings to do what's called CME, continuing medical education, and as I walked into the room in a hotel or motel somewhere, there's a little placard down here by the door. So-and-so drug company furnished this symposium. Why haven't I seen this in Newsweek or CNN? Who pays the biggest advertisement in CNN? Why hasn't this been published in a medical journal? There's 37,000 scientific journals, scientific articles already printed. I had a doctor in Texas says, well, if you can show me any science, I'll read it and then I'll call you back. I said, okay, go to glycoscience.com. There's 37,000 articles. And if you live till you finish reading all those, call me. You see, I feel sorry for physicians who aren't using this. I honestly do. I really feel sorry for people who won't go on it that have a life-threatening disease. I really feel sorry for them. But I also feel sorry for physicians who have a closed mind. Okay? Who funds the teaching, training, education? Pharmaceutical companies. What message do you think they get? Treat sickness, not prevention. Prevention is going to be the next big wave. The next trillion-dollar industry in the United States is going to be prevention. Believe me, like it, lump it, or leave it, it's going to be prevention. And I'm excited about it. Hippocrates, that's the father of present-day medicine. 2,500 years ago said, let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food. He knew what was right. He didn't know about these big drugs that we're passing out. These antibiotics that are costing $900 an IV. He didn't need to know because he knew the facts. Okay?
We have just seen a PowerPoint demonstration of these glyconutrients, and I invite you to contact the person that gave you this DVD so that you too might be a part of this wellness revolution.